Was there any relevant evidence on the cameras from 100 Strawman?
No.
You were also asked on cross-examination by Mr. Baez a number of questions about any attempts by you or your squad to obtain the phone records from Alexander Bradley, at least the phone that he had on July 16, 2012. Do you recall those questions?
I remember Mr. Baez asking me about Alex Bradley's phone records, yes.
And do you have a memory of whether or not Detective McIsaac, who you identified as a lead detective, did in fact obtain a search warrant for Alexander Bradley's phone that he had on his person on July 16, 2012?
He did.
And to your knowledge, Detective, did that search warrant ask for, in addition to phone records, also GPS data or any other locating materials that would be attached to a phone?
Yes.
And finally, Detective, you were asked some questions by Mr. Baez. I believe in particular you were asked whether or not there was any video evidence after 1:14 when we see the Forerunner pull out with the person identified as Aaron Hernandez driving, whether or not there was any other video evidence putting him in that Forerunner afterwards. You recall that question?
Yes.
And in fact, Detective, again, to your investigative knowledge, which was being questioned about, is there additional video footage putting him in that Forerunner?
Yes.
For the record, I'm going to play you a portion of exhibit number 175. For the record, I did use the magnifying device on the Windows Media Player. What I just showed you, did that have any significance from an investigative standpoint for video evidence?
Yes.
How so, sir?
From what we learned later, that appears to show Mr. Bradley and Mr. Hernandez walking back down to where the silver SUV was parked.
Detective, I'm stopping at 225. There appear to be two individuals exiting the garage at this point.
Yes.
And generally speaking, can you tell the general color of their shirts?
One of them's darker, the other appears to be a light color.
Sir, I have the cursor here, sir. Does that appear to be the same two individuals?
Yes, sir.
Although it's not shown on this video here, we end at 2:27:14. Have you watched a video that goes further than this, sir?
Yes, sir.
And do you see brake lights appear at some point after that?
You see what appear to be brake lights? Yes.
Judge, the testimony, if he has the video that he shows it.
Sustained.
What did you observe on the video after what I've just shown?
Objection, Judge, same question.
No, that's different. What, if anything, did you see?
You appear to see brake lights illuminate.
What do you appear to see, if anything, after that?
They illuminate, then they would go dark as if the car was put into gear and driven.
And do you see the lights go anywhere after that?
They appear to go straight.
Thank you, Detective. I have no further questions.
Do you have that video, sir?
Let's bring that last video up.
This last one to show. Then I'll go to that one, yeah. Detective Cummings, you're going to tell this jury now that you can see right over here where this is at, Aaron Hernandez getting into a silver SUV.
Based on the information that we received.
That's not what I'm asking you.
Again, sir, if you'd let me finish and answer, please.
Okay,
What
then
I
I'll
said
ask you the
was,
question again.
based on the information we received, that appears to be Alexander Bradley and Aaron Hernandez walking down the street to where the car is parked. I didn't say it's definitively Aaron Hernandez or anyone else.
Okay, well, my question to you is you're going to tell this jury that that is Aaron Hernandez right there. Right there.
Based on the information we have, yes.
No. I'm
Again,
talking
sir,
about,
you're
can you
asking me,
One
yes.
at a time.
Seeing it based on the information that I have, I am going to tell this jury, yes, it is.
Okay, I'm going to ask you, and when you say based on the information that you have, you're referring to Alexander Bradley.
I'm talking about the information we received from him, yes, sir.
Okay, so now let's get that clear. Now I'm going to ask you this. Do you see right there, with your own eyes, Aaron Hernandez walking and getting into a silver SUV?
Again, based on the information, that's who it appears to be. There is no one else that I see walk out of that parking garage down the street in that area.
It's a
If
simple
you're going to say,
question.
can I identify Aaron Hernandez's face, build, back? No, I cannot.
Okay,
But based
so
on the information, I believe that to be Aaron Hernandez and Alexander Bradley.
Okay, I'm not asking you what you believe.
Well,
Okay.
you are, though.
No, I'm asking you specifically. Do you see?
Mr. Baez, is your question, putting aside what you learned from Bradley, can you say from viewing that video that you can identify Aaron Hernandez?
In and of itself, visually, no.
That's it. That's all I asked. Now,
Well, that's all I ask.
thank you, sir. Now, sir, let's take this a step further. You, as a detective, are taught to document your activities in an investigation, correct?
Certainly.
And that carries several purposes, does it not?
Certainly does.
Okay. One of them being, of course, that you can recall the things you do in an investigation.
That could be one of them, yes.
Okay, and that's because, of course, some cases take longer to go to court.
Correct.
Okay, and then in addition to that, you can then verify. Well, let me strike that. Part of your training is to be as thorough as possible, is it not?
Yes.
And you always want to include these things in your reports, whatever it is that you do.
Reports or notes?
Okay. Now, when you don't have a report, you rely on your notes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now we're back to these notes that you put together. You recall we had a hearing outside the presence of the jury, right?
I do.
Okay. And we discussed everything that you did in relation to finding out and verifying these specific notes that we've discussed, correct?
I'll see you at sidebar.
I may have talked to Mr. Hagan and Mr. Lee momentarily, yes.
Okay, and then now you come back and you added additional information, did you not?
I think in response to a question, yes.
Okay, and that's when you came up with this information about an officer, a Cape Verdean officer who knew Abreu's family.
I didn't come up with it. It was in response.
First time that you've testified to that today,
Yes, sir.
despite having an entire hearing about that earlier.
Sustained.
Now,
We'll disregard that question.
you've testified about a database that you researched, right?
Yes, sir.
And that's only if someone happens to be picked up by the police or stopped by the police with a known gang member.
I believe it also includes information received from the Suffolk County House of Correction, but it is largely a police database.
Okay, and gang members don't go around advertising themselves, right?
Some actually do.
Okay, and the way they do that, of course, is by wearing gang colors,
Some will flat out tell you they're gang members.
and some will wear gang colors.
Some may or may not. It depends on the
Okay.
group.
And some may throw gang signs.
Sustained.
There's different types of ways that a gang member, I guess, advertises that he's a member of a gang, correct?
Sustained. You're far afield, Mr. Buckles.
Yes, sir. Now, you talked about getting relevant evidence from the camera searches during Mr. Hagan's redirect, correct?
I talked about getting the footage from the cameras. I don't know that I used the word relevant, but we did get the footage.
You used the word relevant evidence.
I'm not saying that you're incorrect, sir. I'm saying I don't remember using the word relevant. I'm not saying that you're wrong. It's just, we got the footage, yes.
All right. And you also testified that you got 167 people's names in the club from the scanner?
I think it was 140 something. I don't think it was 167, but maybe 140 something.
How many of them 140 people did you talk to and ask them about what went on inside of that club that night?
Sustained.
This is not, it's...
This was not asked on redirect.
Now, sir, you mentioned during Mr. Hagan's redirect that there was no drug dealing, or that there was no determination of drug dealing, or no evidence of drug dealing, right?
In relation to what?
Drug activity with relations to the gentleman in the BMW.
Yes, sir.
Okay, but yet you took note of Safiro Furtado's drug dealing in Cape Verde, correct?
Sustained in that form. Rephrase.
Do you recall the note of Safiro Furtado drug dealing in Cape Verde?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What officer did you speak with in Cape Verde to verify this?
None.
We've already covered that, counsel.
Okay. And in the same note, on the same note, you write something else about drug dealing, correct?
Oh,
You with the sidebar.
applied for and granted, and that those would have been things included in what was requested, not whether or not we received them.
And you're aware that there are no cell phone records for Alexander Bradley that were obtained by your investigative squad that cover July 16th or the 15th of 2012.
I am now, sir, yes.
I have no further questions.
Okay, thank you, Detective. You may step down.
Yes, Your Honor.
Watch your step. Commonwealth.
The Commonwealth calls Jack Fox.
So you're gonna stop right there? Then raise your right hand and face the clerk.
Sir, do you solemnly swear the testimony you should give this court and jury in the issue now pending between the Commonwealth and the defendant at the bar shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, help you God? Thank you, sir. Follow the officer, please.
Right this way, sir.
Okay.
Please.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Would you please introduce yourself to ladies and gentlemen of the jury and spell your last name for the record?
My name is Jack Fox, and F-O-X.
And Mr. Fox, how old are you?
60, gonna be 65 in September.
And Mr. Fox, calling your attention back to 2012, what was your employment in 2012?
I was the president of Fox Toyota.
And can you describe for ladies and gentlemen of the jury what your history was with car dealerships? How long have you been involved in a car dealership?
I owned Fox Toyota from 1985 until last year when I sold it.
And prior to, starting with 1985, at some point as the head or the owner of Fox Toyota, did you have any relationships with any professional sports teams in the Boston area?
Yes, I did. I had several over the years.
Describe some of those if you would, sir.
During the late 80s and early 90s, I was involved with the Boston Celtics. We were the official car dealership of the Celtics. I also had arrangements with some Patriots players and other things along through the years.
And calling your attention now to the relationship with the Patriots and kind of forwarding a bit into the year on or about 2009 into 2010, did you have any relationship at that point with the Patriots or with Patriots or agents who represented Patriot players?
Yes, I did.
What type of relationships did you have?
I believe at that time I had a trade arrangement with Matt Castle, who was the quarterback of the Patriots.
Calling your attention now, sir, to a man named Aaron Hernandez. At some point in 2009 or into 2010, did you become aware of that name for the first time?
Yes, I did.
What was the nature of how you became aware of Mr. Hernandez?
I received a phone call from a friend of mine who was an agent with a company called Athletes First out in California, and he was the one who represented Matt Castle. And when my arrangement with Matt ended, he called me up and asked me if I would be interested in being involved with another athlete. He described who it was, told me he was local, and that they expected him to be a very good player, and would I be interested in having the same kind of relationship with him as I did with Mr. Castle.
And why did the relationship with Mr. Castle end?
Probably the summer of...
Well, not when, sir. I'm sorry. Why?
He was traded.
He was traded.
He was traded.
And calling your attention now to shortly after that call that you had from the agent from the company, I think you identified as Athletes First. What was your response to them? Were you willing to enter into an arrangement with this person that you now knew to be someone named Aaron Hernandez?
Yeah, I told him that I was interested and that I would like to meet the athlete and have him come down. And as long as the interview, if you will, went well, then we would be able to proceed with the same arrangement that I had with Matt.
And in fact, in sometime in 2010, Mr. Fox, did you meet with Aaron Hernandez for that purpose that you just described?
Yes, I did.
And just for purposes of the record, Mr. Fox, the person you're referring to as Aaron Hernandez, do you see him seated in the courtroom today?
Yes, I do.
Could you please describe where he is and an article of clothing that he's wearing?
Okay, he is a little bit to my right center, and he's got a suit with a purplish tie, I guess.
Or if the record may reflect what's identified the defendant, Aaron Hernandez. Mr. Fox, so after meeting Mr. Hernandez, the defendant, did you agree to enter into an agreement with him?
Yes, I did.
Can you describe for ladies and gentlemen of the jury what the nature of the agreement was?
Aaron would provide me with 2 tickets to all the football games. He would sign autographs for me, attend meetings and events that I might have with employees, and that type of thing.
And what were you going to provide to Mr. Hernandez, the defendant, in return?
I was going to provide him the use of a vehicle.
Was that a vehicle owned by either your company or a leasing company that was part of Fox Toyota?
Yes.
What was it? Was it the leasing company or Fox
It
Toyota?
was the leasing company. Most of the promotional cars or demonstrators or employee cars that I had, I registered to a separate entity, which was a leasing company called Jana Leasing.
And what kind of car did you ultimately give Mr. Hernandez?
It was a 2006 Toyota 4Runner.
Do you know approximately how many miles were on it, generally speaking?
At the time, I believe it had about 12,000 miles on it.
And what was the nature of the arrangement, Mr. Fox? Meaning, did you have an actual written agreement with Mr. Hernandez, or was it more of a handshake agreement?
Yeah, it was more of a handshake with his agent. I had dealt with his agent before, and so we kind of knew what the deal was, and we just continued it with Aaron, basically.
Mr. Fox, I'm just going to show you what's been entered as exhibit number 191. Do you recognize that photograph? Oh, I'm sorry, actually your screen's not
I
on.
was going to say, where do I look?
Just take a minute. Do you see that now, sir?
Yes, I do.
And do you recognize that to be, and this is for the record, is exhibit 191, do you recognize that to be the 2006 silver Toyota 4Runner that you allowed Aaron Hernandez to use as part of the promotion that you described?
Yes, it is.
Now, did you indicate to Mr. Hernandez if there were any rules related to his use of the car?
Yes, I did.
What were those rules that you conveyed to Mr. Hernandez?
I told him that it needed to be serviced regularly, change the oil every 4,000 miles, that I would do the servicing for free at the dealership, and either he could come down and bring it, or I would assist in bringing the vehicle back and forth so it was serviced.
And what do you mean by that as far as your offer to assist?
Send someone to pick up the car and bring it back, that type of thing. So give him a loaner car in exchange for it so he wouldn't be without a vehicle.
And that was made clear that that was part of the offer?
Yes.
And initially, in the arrangement, Mr. Fox, at least for the first months, perhaps even over a year, how would you describe the relationship for the promotional vehicle? Was it going along as planned?
It was. It was, everything was going along pretty much the way we had set it out to be. Occasionally it was a little difficult to connect and get the car back and forth for servicing and everything, but for the most part it was pretty good, yes.
And pretty early on, did he eventually call for a problem for one of your mechanics?
Actually, within the first 3 or 4 weeks I received a phone call that the car was in his garage and it wouldn't start. So I actually sent a mechanic over to the house and checked the car out.
And what was the determination?
The determination was that the car had no gas in it.
Now, calling your attention to the servicing arrangement that you had with Mr. Hernandez, what was the requirement as far as how frequently he had to bring the car in for servicing?
I had instructed him that I would like it to come in every 4,000 miles.
And initially, did he do that?
Yes.
Those times when he did bring it in every 3,000 or 4,000 miles, do you recall if he would always bring it in by himself, or would he take you up on that arrangement where you would send someone to pick it up?
Sometimes he would bring it in, sometimes I would have someone pick it up. I did notice that after a while the mileage intervals was stretched from 4,000. Sometimes I didn't see it until it had 10,000 miles, that type of thing.
What was your understanding, Mr. Fox, as far as the use of the car? Was it supposed to be exclusively used by Aaron Hernandez, or could he allow others to use it?
It was initially supposed to be used just for Aaron. If he had a relative or a girlfriend or whatever, I was pretty lax on it, to be honest.
Mr. Fox, did you ultimately keep records of that particular vehicle, being the 2006 silver 4Runner with license plate number 635-035? Did you keep records by Fox Toyota and Jana Leasing relative to that vehicle and its servicing?
Yes, whenever it came in, we would write a repair order and document the work that was done and the mileage on the car.
Those records that we're talking about, Mr. Fox, those kept in the ordinary course of business by Fox Toyota and Jana Leasing?
Yes.
All right, approach the witness.
You may.
Fox, I'm first going to show you a 3-page document and ask you if you recognize that, sir.
Yes, I do.
What do you recognize that to be?
That's a service repair order that was done when the vehicle came in on May 9th of 2012.
And what is a service repair order? What does that mean?
It's a copy of the work that was done that day, which we would keep for the record to sell the vehicle later on.
Mr. Fox, I'm also going to show you first actually, Your Honor, I'd ask that the service order form be marked as next number 2.
Is there an objection?
Without objection.
Thank you.
194.
The 6-page document I'm showing you now, Mr. Fox, do you recognize that, sir?
Yes, I do.
What do you recognize that to be?
That's a copy of the service history of the 4Runner from the day we first took it in. until the last day we had it for service.
And when you say first took it in, is that when it first became property of Janney Leasing or Fox Toyota?
Yes,
And that would include the time that it was eventually given to Aaron Hernandez in 2010?
yes.
Your Honor, for the 6-page document of service records is the next number exhibit.
Without objection.
Thank you. Exhibit 195.
Now, Mr. Fox, you indicated that up until a point, the defendant abided by the agreement and brought in the car for servicing. Is that correct?
Yes,
And I'm just going to place on the screen exhibit number 195. The time being a date you've already mentioned, May 9th, 2012. Was that the last date that the vehicle was brought in for servicing?
yes,
And prior to May 9th, 2012, had it been brought in, relatively speaking, at regular intervals as you directed?
yes.
At some point, Mr. Fox, based upon the car not being brought in for its next scheduled maintenance, did you do anything relative to trying to contact the defendant?
Yes, I did.
And when was it due to be serviced next after May?
Probably would have been August, September, October, somewhere there, depending on how many miles he was putting on at the time.
And did you make efforts to get access to that car?
Yes.
Describe the efforts that you made to get access to the car from Aaron Hernandez.
Somewhere during the summer months, I tried to swap the vehicle for a different vehicle. I also had a trade arrangement with Brian Hoyer, who was a quarterback of the Patriots at the time, and he also got traded. I guess everybody I get involved with gets traded or whatever. But and so Brian had a newer vehicle. I believe he had a 2010 or 11 Highlander. So I wanted to swap vehicles and give Mr. Hernandez the newer vehicle and take back the 4Runner in order to sell it.
And not being in the car business, is the newer Highlander, at least in your opinion, again, 20 plus years in the car business, is that a better car than the car that Aaron Hernandez had?
I felt so, yes.
And did you offer that option to Mr. Hernandez that you were going to swap out the cars?
Yes.
And at some point, did Mr. Hernandez ever respond to that offer?
I don't believe he did directly. I believe, no, I
At some
don't believe
point,
so.
sir, did you actually send any of your employees to Gillette Stadium to attempt to give Mr. Hernandez that offer?
Yes, I did.
And when was that, sir, if you know about?
I'm going to say roughly that summer, July, August of 2012, I guess it was.
August of 2012. You sent employees up to Gillette Stadium, and did they attempt to swap the car out?
Yes.
And were they successful?
No.
Did Mr. Hernandez agree to meet with them?
No.
Calling your attention now, sir, to August 4th, 2012. Did you by chance happen to visit Mr. Hernandez at his home at that point in Plainville, Massachusetts?
Yes, I did. Is there another picture I'm supposed to be looking at, or?
I didn't place it on the screen yet, sir.
Okay.
At sometime in August, did you end up just by chance visiting Mr. Hernandez at his address?
Yes.
And prior to that date, when you would visit Mr. Hernandez at his address, and I should probably back up a minute, where was he living at the time in 2012?
I believe it was in Plainville. It was either Rentham, Plainville, it was right on the line, but I guess it was Plainville.
Had you been there on prior occasions before August of 2012?
I don't believe so, no.
How frequently did you see Mr. Hernandez in that time period of 2012 leading into the summer?
Not often. I believe the last time, the prior time would have been in May when the car was in for service, and then the next time I saw him was August 4th.
Approach the witness, Your Honor.
You may.
Mr. Fox, I'm showing you what appears to be a photograph. And do you recognize that, sir?
Yes, I did.
And what do you recognize that to be?
That's a photograph of Aaron signing some footballs. That's why I went over to his condo to meet him that day, was to get some autographed footballs to do some promotions.
In this particular photograph, sir, was that taken with your iPhone?
Yes.
And does it have the things that you would typically see with an iPhone photograph that includes the location of the photograph as well as the date and time?
Yes.
Your Honor, for the photograph of Mr. Hernandez, the next number exhibit.
Any reports briefly?
You may.
I believe I actually met him first at the Dunkin' Donuts, which was about 5 minutes away from the condo. He pulled up in a some kind of sedan, and I followed him over to the condo because I had never been there before. So yes, I did think that was strange.
And when you went over there, did you expect to see the 4Runner?
Yes.
And did you see it?
No.
Did you have any conversation with Mr. Hernandez about that?
I don't recall if I did or not.
Mr. Fox, at any point after the servicing in May 9th of 2012, did you ever see that 4Runner in person again? You know what
No.
I mean in person? I mean directly in front of you.
No.
Did you ever, in at that time period, see that 4Runner in Mr. Hernandez's possession after May 9th, 2012?
No.
Now, at some point, Mr. Fox, did you start to get concerned or impatient about the nature of the relationship with the car with Mr. Hernandez?
Yes, I did.
When was that about?
It was probably later in August, early September of that same year. I had tried to get a hold of Mr. Hernandez and was unable to do so.
And prior to August of 2012, your relationship with Mr. Hernandez, and in particular, meaning the nature of your contact, would you talk to each other by phone frequently before that?
Yes, we would occasionally. We would exchange text messages occasionally, yes.
And after August of 2012, did the nature of that level of communication change?
Yes, there wasn't any.
Did he return your texts?
No.
Did he return your phone calls?
No.
Eventually, Mr. Fox, did you ultimately talk to agents of Mr. Hernandez?
Yes, I did.
Did you at any point, I shouldn't use the word threaten, but at some point did you indicate that you were planning to terminate the relationship?
Yes, the gentleman that I originally worked with at Athletes First, Spiro Pettis, I tried to get a hold of him to express my concern. I found out a couple weeks later that he no longer worked for them, and I spoke with another gentleman over there by the name of Kyle Green, and I told him what the arrangement was with Mr. Hernandez. He appeared to not know anything about it at first, but after a while he understood what the arrangement was, and he said he would work on getting the vehicle and doing the other things that I needed done.
And at some point after August 2012 into the fall of 2012, did you ultimately have negotiations where you were advised that Mr. Hernandez wanted to purchase the vehicle?
Yes, I had explained to Kyle that I was not happy with the relationship. I was told by Kyle that instead of dealing with Aaron directly, that I would have to deal with him in exchange, to set up tickets and appearances and everything like that, which was totally different than before. So I expressed to him that I wasn't sure that I wanted to continue the relationship and that I might just want to take the car back.
And was it conveyed to you that the defendant wanted to purchase the car?
Yes, Kyle told me that Aaron really liked the car and that rather than returning it if we didn't continue the relationship, he wanted to purchase it, yes.
That he really liked the car? That was conveyed to you?
Correct.
Mr. Fox, I'm calling your attention now to 2012 that leads into 2013. Did you ever have any success getting that car, the Toyota 4Runner, in for the scheduled servicing? Did you ever see that car again?
No.
At Fox Toyota?
No.
And calling your attention now to the next time you saw the 2006 Toyota 4Runner that you gave to the defendant as a promotional vehicle. When was the next time you actually saw it in any form?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that? You kind of lost me.
Well, when was the next, you didn't see it at all in the rest of 2012, correct?
Correct.
And then into 2013, when was the next time you saw that vehicle?
The next time
Hold on 1 second.
I think we need to approach.
Well,
Your Honor, may I ask a leading question?
I take it we would approach for an objection. I would sustain the objection. Why don't you rephrase?
Mr. Fox, I'm placing on the screen what's been entered as exhibit number 184. Do you recall seeing some version of this still photograph in June of 2013?
Yes,
And was that the only other time you saw the vehicle after May of 2012?
yes.
Thank you, Mr. Fox. I have no further questions.
Mr. Sullivan.
Thank you, Your Honor. May I inquire?
Please.
Good afternoon, Mr. Fox.
Good afternoon.
Just a couple questions for you. You indicated to Mr. Hagan that the last time you saw the car was in May of 2012, right?
Correct.
But that's not the last time that you saw Aaron, right?
Correct.
In fact, Aaron came to your parts and service dinner, right?
Correct.
And that's an annual dinner that you had at Fox Toyota,
Correct.
and it's for the service and repair people.
Yes.
Aaron comes and well, eats.
He definitely did that, yes.
And he signed autographs and that sort of thing for your employees.
Yes, he did. He was great.
And this was, again, just to nail down the timing, this was in the fall of 2012, right?
It was in November of 2012, yes.
Right. Yeah, I think that's, November 2012, still fall, I think. And and you thought he was fantastic, right?
Yes.
And he was he and his fiance were expecting, if I recall. Was that dinner?
That's what he told me that evening, yes. Or just before that, I was told that, by his agent first.
Right. And this was not the first dinner that Aaron went to. You had done this, it was an annual dinner. You had done it the previous couple of years, right?
Correct.
And Aaron remembered just about everybody by name in terms of your employees.
Yes, he did.
And they brought him teddy bears for the upcoming baby.
One employee brought him a teddy bear, yes.
And when Aaron talked to you ultimately about, or apologized to you for not getting in touch,
Overruled.
about not getting in, Aaron ultimately talked to you about not having been in touch, correct?
Yes.
I told you he felt badly, and the more time that passed, he was scared, I think was his words, to talk to you, right?
He thought I would be mad at him, yes.
Yeah, he thought you would be angry at him. And in fact, that evening went so well in November of 2012. You guys didn't even talk about the car, right?
Correct.
And the very last thing, once you found out that Spyro, and I'm blanking on his last name, forgive me, but the original agent was no longer with Athletes First, you learned from the subsequent agent, Mr. Green, that their new policy was that you and any other folks would have to go through the agent as opposed to the athlete personally.
The objection is what?
Hearsay.
No more so than what you elicited.
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
So you learned when you spoke to Kyle Green that the new process was that the agents were now the Athletes First agents were the intermediaries between the athletes and the sponsorships.
He didn't tell me that. He just told me that my arrangement would be to deal with him directly. So I don't know what the process for all the athletes.
You didn't ask about the
No.
global process.
Correct.
I think that's it. Just one minute, sir.
Sure.
Thanks so much for your time.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Anything further,
No,
Mr.
Your
Hagan? Mr. Fox, thank you, sir. You may step down. Please watch your step. Commonwealth.
Commonwealth calls Trooper Jeremiah Donovan.
Sir, do you solemnly swear the testimony you shall give this court and jury, the issue now pending between the Commonwealth and the defendant at the bar, shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you, sir. Can I have all the officers?
Watch the bell.
Afternoon, Your Honor.
Sure.
May I inquire?
Mr. Hagan.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Would you please introduce yourself to the ladies and gentlemen of the jury and spell your last name for the record?
My name is Jeremiah Donovan, Donovan.
Are you a Massachusetts State Police trooper, sir?
I am,
How long have you been with the Massachusetts State Police?
since 2006.
And at some point in your career since 2006 with the Massachusetts State Police, have you been assigned as a detective?
Yes,
How long have you been a detective with the Massachusetts State Police?
since 2009.
And as a detective, were you assigned to a particular county?
I am, yes.
What county is that, sir?
Bristol County.
Detective Dunn, I'm going to call your attention now to a particular date, the date being June 26th, the year 2013. Do you recall working on a particular investigation at that time?
I do, yes.
And relative to the investigation that you were conducting on June 26, 2013, did you travel to 114 Lake Avenue in Bristol, Massachusetts?
In Bristol, Connecticut.
I'm sorry, Bristol, Connecticut.
Yes, sir.
And did you, when you went to that address, Trooper, did you have other troopers and other crime scene personnel with you?
Yes.
And were you at that address with a search warrant that had been issued on the investigation that you were working on?
Correct, yes.
I'm calling your attention now, Trooper, to what you saw upon your arrival at 114 Lake Avenue, Bristol, Connecticut at that time. What was the time that you arrived, if you know approximately?
I believe it was right around 7:30 p.m.
And were there any people present at the address there at 114 Lake Avenue?
Yes, sir, there were.
Was there anything going on you could tell, or were there, how many people were there?
I'd say about a half dozen maybe. It appeared to be like a family party type of thing going on.
And Trooper Donovan, as part of your search warrant, in addition to the interior of 114 Lake Avenue in Bristol, Connecticut, did you also conduct a search of the surrounding area, what sometimes referred to as a curtilage of the address, including the garage?
Yes, sir.
Can I approach your witness, Ron?
You may.
Trooper Donovan, I'm just going to show you 4 photographs and ask you if you recognize those, sir.
Yes, sir, I do.
And are those 4 photographs fair and accurate representations of the exterior of 114 Lake Ave, Bristol, Connecticut, that you, as you found it on June 26th, the year 2013, at about 7 o'clock at night?
Yes, sir.
7:30?
7:30, yes, sir.
Your answer to the 4 photographs be marked as next number, please.
No objection.
Without objection, they're received.
197.
Trooper Donovan, just placing Exhibit 197 on the screen. Is that 114 Lake Avenue as you found it on June 26, 2013?
Yes, sir.
Calling your attention now to Exhibit 198. Does that show the side of the house? Essentially, the front would be where I have my pen over here, and this is the side of the house?
Yes, sir. Dewey Street, which is the cross street of Lake Ave, would be standing in the driveway of that in Dewey Street.
So Dewey Street would go in this direction here.
Yes, sir.
Lake Avenue goes this direction.
Correct.
And calling your attention now to what we see in Exhibit 198. Can you describe what, if any, observations you made of the garage door on June 26, 2013?
Obviously, we observed it was closed, and we observed that there appeared to be 6 windows, small windows, that were appear to be painted on the inside. 5 of them were painted, and 1 of them was covered by cardboard.
And pursuant to your search warrant that you had from a Connecticut judge authorizing a search, did you open up that garage?
Yes, sir.
Calling your attention now to Exhibit number 200. Do you recognize that, sir?
Yes.
And is that what you found when you opened the garage door?
Yes, sir.
And describe what else you saw about that 4Runner, or the silver SUV that we see in the photograph, Exhibit 200. What else did you see inside of the garage?
I recall boxes and then some furniture, some disassembled furniture.
Were those on or around the 4Runner?
Yes, sir.
And what, if any, observations did you make of the 4Runner itself? I'm placing on the screen Exhibit number 199. Did you notice anything about its exterior?
Obviously, we noticed the license plate, Rhode Island registration, 635035. We also observed that the doors were locked and that there was dust on the exterior of the vehicle.
And based upon the doors being locked, did you communicate with any residents who were present at 114 Lake Avenue in an attempt to gain access to or learn more about the motor vehicle?
Yes, we asked if there was a key available.
And did you speak to a woman by the name of Gina Mercado?
Yes, sir.
Or Jennifer Mercado?
Yes.
And was Ms. Mercado able to provide a key to that car?
I don't remember if she provided it, but a key was provided a short time after.
And Trooper, describe for the jurors what, if anything, you did once you obtained the key, presumably to that car.
I believe again, the doors were locked, so we made entry on the driver's side. I believe that was the only place where there was a key spot to enter the key.
Well, could you enter with a keyless entry, or was the battery dead?
The keyless entry didn't work, so we opened the door, using the manually opened the door, and we actually attempted to unlock. There's an unlock button, attempted to unlock that door, the other doors as well, and that didn't work either. There was also no interior light that illuminated when the door was opened.
So again, based upon your knowledge as a car driver, that appeared that the battery was dead.
Don't leave.
I'll ask another question. Did the car appear to have any power whatsoever?
No, it did not.
When you entered the car in order to try to get the automatic unlock to work and notice whether the dome light worked, which I think you said both didn't, what observations did you make of the interior of the car?
Observed the interior of the car was very clean, to the point where, you could look in the back seat and see that there was nothing on the floor, nothing on the passenger side floor. It appeared to be very clean.
And how did that compare to the exterior of the car?
Again, the exterior of the car was very dusty, had dust on it. The interior of the car appeared to be, I don't want to say dust-free, but it appeared a lot less dust on the interior.
And Trooper, were any other efforts made to try to start the car or anything like that?
No.
At some point, Trooper, did you contact Boston Police, or did you have contact with Boston Police Homicide Unit detectives about finding that car?
Yes, sir.
And are you aware of whether or not Boston Police Homicide detectives ultimately came with their own search warrant on a subsequent date?
Yes, I was present when that occurred, yes.
And you assisted with that, sir?
I watched, I guess. I stood back and allowed them to do their thing, but yes.
I have a moment, Your Honor.
Me.
Trooper, when you opened the car doors, do you recall whether or not you or the other law enforcement officers were assisting you? Were you wearing gloves, if you know?
I know I was, yes.
Thank you, Trooper. I have no further questions.
Sullivan.
Thank you, Trooper. I should be no more than an hour and a half Just kidding.
For as long as you need, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Watch your step, please. Commonwealth.
You're on the Commonwealth called Jennifer Mercado.
You saw the testimony you should give this court and jury, the issue now pending between the Commonwealth and the defendant of the bar, shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, help you God? Thank you. Now call the officer.
Thank you, Your Honor. Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Would you please introduce yourself to ladies and gentlemen of the jury and spell your last name for the record?
My name is Jennifer Mercado, Mercado.
And Ms. Mercado, where did you grow up?
Bristol, Connecticut.
Have you lived in or around Bristol, Connecticut your whole life?
Yes.
And I'm calling your attention now, Ms. Mercado, to the address of 114 Lake Avenue. Do you currently live there?
Yes.
How long have you lived at 114 Lake Avenue?
Since 1997.
Since 1997?
Yes.
Exhibit number 197, ma'am, is that a photograph of 114 Lake Avenue?
Yes.
Ms. Mercado, I'm calling your attention now to the defendant, Aaron Hernandez. Are you related to Mr. Hernandez?
Yes, I am.
What is your relation, or how are you related to Aaron Hernandez?
He's my little cousin.
And can you describe what the nature of the cousin relationship is? In other words, is
His father was my uncle.
his father was your uncle,
Yes.
so your mother was his father's sister.
Yes.
And how much older are you than the defendant, Aaron Hernandez?
I'm 40. I'll be 44 in July.
And how old is he, if you know?
27, 28. I don't know.
I'm calling your attention now to the time when Aaron Hernandez was growing up. You were older than him, is that correct?
Yes.
Do you know where he lived when he grew up?
On Greystone Avenue in Bristol.
And calling your attention to the nature of your family relationship with the defendant, back prior to 2006, was the family relatively close? Meaning, did you see the defendant frequently?
Always.
And I'm now calling your attention to your sister Tanya.
Yes.
Did you have a sister, Tanya?
Yes, I did.
And she's currently deceased, is that correct?
Yes, she is.
Ma'am, calling your attention to Tanya, what was her last name?
Cummings.
That was her name by marriage?
Yes.
What was the relationship growing up, when Aaron Hernandez was growing up as a teenager into high school, with your sister Tanya?
She was like a mother figure to him.
And what do you mean by that?
She just loved him like a son.
I'm calling your attention now, ma'am, to a period of time after 2006. Was there a situation where Aaron, your cousin, would actually stay overnight and spend a lot of time at 114 Lake Avenue?
Yes, he would.
And that was that because of something that had happened in 2007 or that
Or so,
range?
yes.
And what had happened then, ma'am?
His mother had an affair with my sister's husband.
And after that, did Aaron spend a lot of time at 114 Lake Avenue?
Yes, he did.
And who did he spend his time primarily with?
Well, with the household, mostly with my sister.
I'm calling your attention now to a later time.
You may.